There are two kinds of weddings. The kind that make you believe in love, and the kind that make you reconsider your life insurance. The one we had last Saturday was a bit of both. From my balcony on the 4th floor of 42 Bloom Street, I had the perfect view. Not of the ceremony itself, but of the chaos surrounding it. And really, that's where the story always is. The community hall downstairs, the same one that usually hosted yoga classes and tenant meetings about trash bins, had been transformed overnight. Soft white drapes covered the cracks in the paint. Fairy lights twinkled as if trying to distract from the faulty wiring, and the air smelled like roses, perfume, and anxiety. The bride, Emily Dawson, had been preparing for months. Sweet girl, the kind of person who says thank you to elevators. She'd spent the last 2 weeks walking around the building in a daze, muttering about table linens and seating charts, as if one misplaced napkin could doom the marriage. Her fiancé, Jonathan, was handsome in the way that makes you suspicious. You know the type. Polite, charming, and too well-groomed to have ever taken out the trash himself. And of course, everyone in the building was talking about it. Caroline, my dearest friend and self-appointed minister of gossip, was practically vibrating with anticipation. "Can you believe they rented the entire hall?" she whispered over tea the night before. "I heard there's a chocolate fountain." "Chocolate fountains," I told her, "are just expensive metaphors for poor decision-making." The next morning, I woke up to the sound of chaos disguised as celebration. Walter, our building's caretaker, was dragging folding chairs down the hallway, muttering about fire codes. Mrs. Holloway from 401 was standing by her door in full makeup at 8 a.m., holding binoculars, not subtly. And Caroline, bless her soul, was downstairs already, helping the decorators, which in her case meant offering unsolicited advice. By noon, the guests had started arriving. A parade of dresses, suits, and questionable hats flooded the lobby. I stayed upstairs, of course. Weddings are much more entertaining from a safe altitude. The ceremony itself was sweet, if you enjoy watching two people publicly overpromise. The bride walked in glowing, tears glittering like expensive mascara. The groom smiled nervously, as if calculating the emotional interest on the vows he was about to take. Someone's phone rang halfway through, and an elderly aunt fainted, possibly from the perfume concentration. Still, for a brief cinematic moment, it was lovely. Emily's mother cried, Jonathan's father pretended to, and the rest of us collectively exhaled. And then, it happened. The vanishing. At first, no one noticed. The music played, people clinked glasses, and Walter began quietly confiscating champagne flutes that looked too expensive. But when Emily went to pose for the traditional bouquet toss photo, she froze. The bouquet, the centerpiece of the entire floral universe, was gone. Vanished. Evaporated. Poof. Maybe someone moved it, Caroline said, ever the optimist. Moved it where? Walter demanded, clipboard already in hand. I'm logging this. Within minutes, the entire hall transformed into a search operation. Guests scattered like ants after a picnic. Women in heels lifted tablecloths. Men pretended to look under things to avoid being accused. Even the band joined in, though one guitarist seemed more interested in the dessert table. Emily, poor thing, looked ready to dissolve into tears. Not because of the bouquet itself, I think, but because control had slipped away. I don't blame her. In this building, control is a myth. Relax, I told her gently. Flowers don't disappear, they migrate. She blinked at me, clearly regretting making eye contact. Meanwhile, Caroline was whispering wild theories. Maybe the florist took it back for photos. Maybe it fell out the window. Maybe someone stole it. I raised an eyebrow. Who steals a bouquet? It's not even edible. By 7 p.m., the party was officially over and the mystery was officially unsolved. The bouquet had left no trace, not even a stray petal. People began leaving in waves of polite confusion, each one pretending not to suspect the others. That night, the building group chat was chaos. Someone took it on purpose. It's bad luck. Evelyn probably knows something. I didn't respond. I prefer to let my silence ferment. Instead, I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea, replaying the day in my head. The laughter, the whispers, the subtle glances that people think no one notices. You can learn a lot from how people avoid each other, and that's when I saw it. A flicker of white 2 floors above. A delicate shape on the balcony of apartment 203, Veronica Hale's apartment. Now Veronica is what I'd call cinematic, a woman whose existence comes with its own soundtrack. Always poised, always immaculate, with the faintest aura of "don't ask me about my past." And there, illuminated by the moonlight, sat Emily's missing bouquet, neatly placed on the railing, as if it belonged there all along. I leaned forward, squinting. The silk ribbon gleamed softly, perfectly tied. The arrangement was untouched, not even wilted. It looked, dare I say, adored. For a moment, I considered the possibilities. Had Veronica taken it? Had Jonathan given it to her? Had the bouquet decided it preferred better company? All equally plausible outcomes in this building. I should have gone to bed. I should have ignored it. But curiosity is my favorite vice. The next morning, Caroline was at my door before sunrise, holding her phone like evidence. "It's on the chat," she gasped. "Someone took a photo of it on Veronica's balcony." Of course they did. Half the residents were convinced Veronica had stolen it for attention. The other half thought she was involved with the groom. Walter simply wrote "domestic disturbance" floral on his clipboard. As for me, I poured another cup of tea and smiled. Because this wasn't just about a missing bouquet anymore. It was about what it revealed, the way people turn on each other the moment something beautiful goes missing. And as I watched the sun hit the 203 balcony, glinting off the roses like gossip catching light, I realized this was only the beginning, because in this building, nothing vanishes without leaving a story behind, and I was going to find it. There are moments in life when you realize curiosity isn't just a trait, it's a calling. And standing in the hallway that Sunday morning, staring at a photograph of Veronica Hale's balcony circulating through the building's group chat, I knew this was one of them. The picture was unmistakable. A delicate arrangement of white and blush roses, tied with an ivory ribbon, perched perfectly on Veronica's wrought iron railing. Emily's missing bouquet, the same one that had caused the wedding meltdown of the decade, had apparently chosen a new home. The caption under the photo read simply, "Well, would you look at that?" The comments that followed could have fueled a novel. Someone should call her. Maybe she thought it was for her. The audacity. And my personal favorite, from Mrs. Holloway, who hadn't left her apartment in 3 months but somehow always knew everything. Told you the flowers weren't right. That woman could sense drama through drywall. By the time I reached the 2nd floor, Caroline was already there, hovering by Veronica's door with the intensity of a private investigator who'd just found religion. "She's not answering," she whispered. "Do you think she's hiding?" "Caroline," I said. "Some people call that privacy." She frowned. "I call it suspicious." Before I could answer, the door opened, and there she was. Veronica Hale, in all her immaculate glory. She was the kind of woman who made you check your reflection out of instinct. Even on a Sunday morning, she looked like she was auditioning for an expensive perfume commercial. Silk robe, flawless bun, and that faint, invisible halo of perfume that smelled like confidence and tax brackets. "Evelyn," she said with a slow, deliberate smile. "Caroline, how unexpected." "Oh, we were just admiring your balcony," I said pleasantly. "Quite the centerpiece today." Her brow lifted ever so slightly. "Is it?" "The bouquet," Caroline blurted, because subtlety is not her strong suit. "The missing one from Emily's wedding. Veronica's gaze flicked toward the window, then back to us. "Oh, that," she said lightly. "I assumed it blew there." "Blew there?" I repeated. "Up 2 floors, across a courtyard, and landed perfectly upright on your railing? How whimsical." "Air currents can be unpredictable," she said smoothly, as if quoting from a luxury weather report. I smiled. Indeed, especially the ones that pick locks. Her expression didn't falter, but there was the slightest tension in her jaw. The tiniest hairline crack in the porcelain. Caroline shifted uncomfortably beside me, realizing she was now standing in the middle of a duel. "Well," Veronica said finally, "if it belongs to Emily, she's welcome to come fetch it." "How generous," I said. "Though it seems to have quite the travel itinerary." Veronica's lips curved. Perhaps it's simply drawn to beauty. She closed the door before I could reply, which was probably wise because my next line wasn't going to be kind. Caroline turned to me wide-eyed. "She took it." "I didn't say that," I murmured. "But yes, she absolutely took it." Back upstairs, we did what any responsible citizens would do in times of mild scandal. We made tea and analyzed the evidence. Caroline was pacing. "Why would she steal it? She wasn't even at the wedding." "That," I said, "is precisely why she stole it." She froze. "You think it's jealousy?" "Not necessarily jealousy," I mused. "Maybe nostalgia. Maybe revenge. Or maybe she just wanted to remind everyone she's still the most interesting woman in the building." Caroline looked scandalized. "Evelyn, you make it sound like a soap opera." "My dear," I said, sipping my tea, "life is a soap opera. We just pretend it's a documentary." As the day went on, the group chat descended into chaos. Theories bloomed like mold in damp gossip. Some insisted Veronica was covering for someone. Others thought Jonathan, the groom, had gifted it to her. One person even suggested the bouquet was possessed. I love the internet. It makes everyone confident and wrong at the same time. By evening, the flowers had vanished again. One moment they were there, perfectly arranged, basking in golden hour light, and the next, gone. The balcony was bare, the railing spotless, not even a petal left behind. It was as if the bouquet had decided to take offense and relocate. When I told Caroline, she gasped as though I'd announced a royal death. "Gone again?" "Apparently so," I said. "Our floral fugitive remains at large." She frowned. "Should we tell Emily?" "Of course not," I said. "She's had enough heartbreak. Let her enjoy her honeymoon bliss before discovering her flowers have commitment issues." That night, Walter, who'd clearly taken it upon himself to become the building's security force, started making rounds with a flashlight. He kept muttering about installing more cameras. "You don't need cameras," I told him. "You need tact." He looked at me blankly. "Is that a kind of sensor?" "Unfortunately not." At exactly 10:37 p.m., another photo appeared in the group chat. The bouquet again, but this time, it wasn't on Veronica's balcony. It was on mine. Sitting neatly on the little iron table where I usually kept my morning newspaper, the flowers were as fresh as ever. The ribbon fluttered slightly in the breeze, catching the glow of the streetlights. Caroline called instantly. "Evelyn, what did you do?" "Nothing," I said. "Apparently I've been chosen." I went outside. The night air was cool, the city humming below like distant static. The bouquet looked almost deliberate, too perfect, too placed. And then I saw it, a small slip of paper tucked between the roses. Curiosity, as I've mentioned, is a calling. I unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was elegant, precise, and just pretentious enough to suggest an artist or a liar. It read, "Some things bloom better where they aren't meant to." Aghast, I stared at the words for a long time. They didn't sound like Veronica. They didn't sound like Emily either. It wasn't even quite romantic, more like Wistful philosophy disguised as mischief. Whoever wrote it knew how to make silence interesting. By morning, the flowers were gone again. No trace, no note, no witnesses. Walter swore no one had used the stairs. Caroline swore she'd checked the cameras, though I'm fairly sure she meant her imagination. Detective Ryan Collins showed up around noon, summoned by someone who clearly needed closure more than privacy. He's young, serious, and perpetually skeptical of everything that happens in this building, especially me. So, he said, flipping open his notebook. A bouquet disappeared, reappeared, disappeared again, then showed up on your balcony? Correct, I said. And you think someone placed it there intentionally? Oh, definitely. Flowers don't levitate, not since the 70s, he sighed. Mrs. Moore, I have to ask, are you sure this isn't just a misunderstanding? My dear, I said, I collect misunderstandings. This one's a masterpiece. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Right. And what about this note? I handed it over. He read it, frowned, and muttered, philosophical vandalism. Or romantic performance art, I offered. He gave me that look, the one men reserve for women who sound too certain. You do realize this isn't exactly a crime. Of course it isn't, I said, smiling, but it's far more interesting than one. As he left, he said something I found rather ironic. Maybe it's better not to know. That's how you can tell someone doesn't live here. In this building, not knowing is the most dangerous thing of all. That night, as I sipped my tea and looked out at the empty balcony railings, I couldn't help but smile. The mystery wasn't just about the bouquet anymore. It was about why it kept moving. And I had a feeling the flowers weren't the only things traveling between apartments. If you're still with me, tell me, what would you do if something beautiful kept showing up at your door? Would you question it, or keep it quiet and enjoy the view? Either way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your theories below. I read every single one, especially the dramatic ones, because here at 42 Bloom Street, even the petals have secrets. I've learned over the years that mysteries have two types of people, those who want the truth and those who want entertainment. I've never decided which I am. After the detective left, the building settled into a tense kind of quiet, the kind that hums with unfinished sentences. People said hello in the hallway, but their eyes darted like squirrels. Even Walter, who normally strutted around with his clipboard like a soldier of order, was suddenly jumpy. The bouquet had vanished again, and this time, even I couldn't tell if it was gone for good or just catching its breath. Still, I knew one thing. When people start avoiding eye contact, something is about to surface. On Monday morning, Caroline came over with muffins and theories. Both were slightly overbaked. You're not going to believe this, she said, sitting down without waiting for an invitation. Veronica's been acting strange. Strange how? She smiled at me in the elevator. I raised an eyebrow. That's not strange. That's alarming, I know, Caroline whispered dramatically. She even asked how my day was. She's never done that. Well, I said, stirring my tea, either she's planning something or she's been possessed by kindness. We both sat in silence, contemplating which option was more likely. Later that afternoon, a soft knock interrupted my peace. When I opened the door, there she was, Veronica Hale in all her polished glory, holding a single white rose. Good afternoon, Evelyn, she said, voice smooth as glass. I suppose this belongs to you now. I looked at the flower, then at her. I wasn't aware we were exchanging custody. She smiled faintly. It seems the bouquet is making rounds. I found this one on my balcony this morning, and again. Persistent thing, isn't it? Or haunted, she said lightly. Either way, I thought it should end its journey somewhere it might be. Appreciated. She handed me the rose. Her nails were perfect, her expression unreadable. There was something softer about her, though. A crack in the armor, subtle but real. Veronica, I said carefully, can I ask you something? You can always ask, she replied. Whether I answer is another story. What's really going on with the bouquet? She tilted her head, amused. You make it sound like a scandal. In this building, I said, everything is a scandal. There was a pause. The kind that holds more truth than words. Finally, she sighed. A long, deliberate exhale. It wasn't me who took it first, Evelyn. Oh? No, she said. It was him, and she didn't need to say who. We both knew Jonathan, not Emily's new husband. The groom with the perfect smile and the wandering eyes. Veronica looked down. He brought it to me that night. Said he thought I might appreciate it more than she would. That's quite a compliment, I said dryly. She met my gaze. It wasn't meant as one. Her tone had that quiet ache people try to disguise with grace. We knew each other, once, a long time ago. Of course they did. In this building, no one is ever truly a stranger, just someone whose secrets haven't circulated yet. So he gave you the bouquet, I said, and then I told him to take it back. But he didn't. She shook her head. No, I left it on the balcony that night. When I woke up, it was gone, I frowned. And then it appeared on mine. She nodded. Exactly. I studied her for a moment. There was no guilt in her face, only weariness. Did he leave you a note too? She hesitated, then reached into her pocket and handed me a folded slip of paper. Same handwriting. Same elegant ink. Forgiveness looks better in sunlight. I felt something twist in my chest. Was this meant for you or for her? I asked quietly. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Does it matter? Before I could answer, she turned and walked away, perfume lingering in the air like unfinished conversation. That evening, the group chat buzzed again. A photo from Emily. Thank you to whoever returned my bouquet. I'm keeping it this time. It sat on her kitchen table, petals soft, ribbon untied. No note this time, I almost commented. Almost. But sometimes silence is the only language that fits. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. The building was too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels intentional. I walked to the balcony, teacup in hand, and looked out across the courtyard. The night air was crisp, carrying the faint hum of traffic and gossip. And then I saw it. Something white glinting on Veronica's balcony again. Not the bouquet this time. Just a single rose. Fresh, upright, facing directly toward 202. Emily's window. I smiled despite myself. Sometimes closure doesn't come in words. Sometimes it's just a flower, placed exactly where it needs to be. The next morning, I found another note. This one slipped under my door. No name, no flourish. Just one line. Some things return only after being seen. Was it from Veronica? Jonathan? Emily? I'll never know. But maybe that's the point. Because in this building, every story has two sides. And most of us are standing somewhere in the middle, pretending we're not involved. Later, Caroline popped by, armed with croissants and curiosity. So it's over? She asked. The bouquet mystery? Over? I repeated. Oh, darling, stories don't end here. They just change balconies. She laughed, shaking her head. You should write a book. I already have, I said. It's called My Neighbors. The plot writes itself. That night, as I watched the lights flicker on across the courtyard, I thought about all the people inside, each carrying their own version of what had happened. To Emily, it was a misunderstanding. To Veronica, maybe a warning. To Jonathan, perhaps a regret. And to me, it was a reminder that beauty, no matter how fragile, has a way of finding new places to bloom, even where it isn't meant to. So, if you've stayed with me this long, tell me in the comments. Do you think the bouquet ever stopped moving? Or is it still out there, teaching someone else a lesson about timing, forgiveness, and gravity? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep your windows closed. You never know what kind of stories might fly in. Good night, my dear neighbors, and remember, in this building, even the flowers gossip.